Welcome back, everybody. It's a brand new episode of 5 Minute Majors. I'm your host, Derek Harper. Let's get right to it. There hasn't been too much big news that's come out, but there's been a little bit of some interesting news out of the OHL as far as a couple of coaches that have been canned. Sarnia let an assistant go, which is interesting. Not the head coach, but an assistant. They just gave the reason of wanting to make better progress, basically, with developing their players. So interesting move there. The Oshawa Generals let their head coach go. No word on why, but I know that they've always been a successful team, so they're probably just on a downturn and need to find a different direction to go. Because Oshawa is usually a top team, they make the championship series quite a lot, it seems like, and obviously they haven't been in the top 10 rankings of the CHL, so I think that's probably what it amounts to. Obviously, we're having more and more players jump from the Junior A BCHL up in British Columbia to the WHL. Obviously, I'm sure other leagues are the OHL and the QMJHL jump into the players jump into those from like the USHL and stuff like that. Which it should be mentioned that Muskegon and Youngstown in the USHL have apparently been in talks with the OHL with the changing landscape to join that league. So we'll see what happens there. They have visited at least one of those two teams, so that's very interesting in itself. Could we see expansion in that league? Maybe. Be very interesting to see what happens there. But Everett, getting back to the topic at hand, Everett saw Penn State commit Shea Bush sign. He most recently spent time with Vernon, but he was acquired by the Silvertips in a November 29 trade with the Eastern Conference's Lethbridge Hurricanes. So interesting there is that he was under, I guess, the rights of Lethbridge, never played for them, played for Vernon, which is a solid team in the BCHL. I've covered them and I've seen them play in person, so they're a solid team. Obviously, he got a lot of development there, but now with the ability to play at a higher level and still maintain his NCAA eligibility, just a very smart move on his part. Um, Sticking with the WHL and the Everett Silvertips, actually, they checked in at 2, Spokane Chiefs at 9, and the Tri-City Americans rounded it out at 10 in this week's CHL Top 10 Power Rankings. The OHL also checked in with 3 teams. The always powerful, always lethal, just always right up there at the top, London Knights. They led the way at the top spot, Kitchener Rangers at 5, and the Windsor Spitfires, who won the Memorial Cup a couple years ago, at 7. But obviously that leaves out the Quebec League. So Drummondville Voltigeurs checked in at 3, Moncton at 4, the Wildcats. This year's Memorial Cup host, the Rimouski Oceanic at 6. And excuse me if I butcher this, but the Chicoutimi Saguenayes at 8. Obviously, that's a pretty French name, and I don't know French. And then we've had the CHL Team of the Month come out, and no surprise there. A couple players from Medicine Hat who was always a good team. Gavin McKenna is one of those players. Connor Bedard's cousin, obviously, and that guy has just been lighting it up. Sure to be a top pick once he's draft eligible. I mean, that kid is a stud on the ice. Um, but Kelowna forward Andrew Cristall also made the cut. There was a goalie in the OHL and a defenseman in the QMJHL, or in the OHL and a forward in the QMJHL. So, for more news on that, you can go to juniorhockey.io to see all of those teams, to see the CHL Team of the Month and who exactly is comprised in it, and their scoring output, which has been pretty phenomenal. I think it just speaks to the caliber of the CHL these days and how powerful it is, especially with the players being able to jump from the junior A leagues now to maintain their NCAA eligibility and bring their talent to the major junior ranks. So, a lot of that going on, but for now, we'll see you next episode.